Hi, this is Sam Gerstein welcoming you to another edition of Live Your Dreams video blog. Today I'm going to be talking about bringing your A game. You see, we are all born with an A and a B game. Your A game is your innate self, your potential. Some people are born with a good ear for music. Other people have potential for linguistic abilities. And other people have good potential for hand-eye coordination. We also have a preferred way of how we deal with people. Some people are born with liking to be alone a little bit more. Other people love working in large groups. This is part of your unique self. The B game is your conditioned self. You get that from your parents, your culture, society. You learn what's safe and not safe. The problem isn't what you were born with. The problem is that you think what you were born with isn't good enough. That's when the problem starts. Other people keep telling you to compare yourself and look at Johnny, look at Susan, look what they're doing, look how great they are. You start believing that your self isn't good enough. That's where you get into problems. Let me give you one example from a school district in Mamaroneck, New York. Rye Neck Union Free School District. Now, before the superintendent got there, they had about 1,400 children in this district, and in the primary school, they had about 20 children in the gifted program. Now, these gifted kids would be kids that did well on the IQ test, and also they had to be well behaved. When Peter Mustish got there, the new superintendent, he said, "This doesn't sound right." He believed that all kids were gifted in some way. So he put in a new program. He got the teachers on board. He incorporated this person who had a master's in childhood special education. And he said that we're going to bend the curriculum a little to make it fit to each child and the interests of each child to keep each child interested. You see, he believed that every child had a game and was unique in some way. And the role of this class, the role of the school was to bring that out. And too many times these children are given up upon. So what he did was he found the uniqueness in every child. There's one example I want to talk about from this book, Delivered from Distraction, written by Edward Hallowell and John Ratey. It's a book about getting the most out of life with attention deficit disorder. And one example from the book, it gives about a child in this school district who was shy, withdrawn, introverted, and didn't read or write very well. A lot of times, if that child presents in a school, they undergo neuropsychology tests, perhaps some remedial work and some tutoring. But this program that Peter Mustish put in was different. Instead, he sent her to Valerie Feet, the person in charge of this program. After talking with him for a few sessions, she found that he was interested in solar-powered automobiles. Being creative, she suggested to the school to buy a solar-powered automobile kit that he could put together himself. Now, they agreed and they got the money because instead of the testing that they would have to do and the tutoring, they spent the money on the kit. Well, he spent the next semester putting together the kit, increasing his reading because he had to learn how to put together the kit, and he became recognized and respected and by the other teachers and the peers, and his confidence grew. This is how he brought his A game to the table. And before this, the people in the gifted program, the parents, thought this is going to lower the standards of the school. But it didn't. It actually raised the standards of everyone in the school district because they increased the academic requirements. You see, when you bring out people's A game, you bring out their best. And we are all gifted in some way. A lot of times people don't know it because they look at other people's gifts. Well, you know what? It's funny because when they look back at you, they are seeing your A game oftentimes, and they only see their own B game. Let's just illustrate that last point with these models I created. I know they're not anatomically correct, but let's just go with the flow. Well, here's Judy. Hi. Here's Bob. Hi. They both have their own unique innate potential, and that is their A selves. But when Judy looks at Bob, instead of playing her A self, she's playing her B self. She thinks, Bob, wow, he's so well accomplished. He got his MBA. He writes software. He's so logical. I wish I could be as smart as Bob. Bob, though, when he looks back at Judy, he doesn't play his A self. He's playing his B self too. He looks at her A self, and he thinks to himself, that Judy, she's so well read, and she expresses herself so well. She's got such great linguistic ability. I wish I could express myself as well as her. And he sees Judy's A self, and he's playing his B self. So Bob plays his B self when he looks at other people, and Judy plays her B self when she looks at other people. And what you have left is a lot of people in society playing their B selves, and that's why most people are dissatisfied with their careers, because they're not living up to their own potential. So what we are left with in society is a lot of people playing their B game. They're not getting into the flow. So how do you play your A game more often? Well, a couple of decades ago, Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi of the University of Chicago wrote a book called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. In it, he said, when what you do matches harmoniously with your inner self, you are in a state called flow. And most people experience these flow experiences in life. Sometimes people only experience them for a few minutes, other people for days and weeks. You know what a flow is, when you feel that you're doing something, that time just stands still, when those days or nothing can go wrong, or those hours when you feel whatever people say to you just washes off you like water off a duck's back. You know that feeling. And people sometimes have that feeling by accident when they fall in love because your partner only sees your higher self, your A game. Or when you're put in charge of a project at work that happens to match your inner self, your inner strengths, your A game. And what usually happens, though, you fall back into your B game because you think that's just a fluke. It can't happen on a consistent basis. Well, you'd be wrong then. Because when you're in the flow, it leaves clues. And what you have to do is start paying attention to it to get in your A game more often. So I'd like to give you an exercise. I'd like you to play your own journalist for your own self. And think of times in the past when you've been in the flow, when things have worked well for you. And answer the 6 W's. What were you doing? Who were you doing it with? How were you doing it? Were you using your hands? Were you using your head? Were you using your computer? Where were you? Why were you doing it? What was the reason? What was your motivation? And when were you doing it? Was it early in the morning? Was it late at night? There are clues to how you do your A game. Just start paying attention. If you're a people person, don't sit in front of a computer screen at work for 8 hours a day. If that's what you're doing, it's not a good match for you. If you're an outdoors person, start looking for something that you could do outdoors, like truck driving, or forestry, or police work, or construction. That's how you get in your flow. The challenge is, your B side is sitting and watching this. It sounds easy to get in the flow, but not when your B side has been so conditioned to watch out for safety and security. It might say, what are the pension plan here? What are the benefits? It might ask you, is that really respectable? You got to get realistic. Do you hear that though? That's fear talking. That's where the B side comes from, your conditioned mind. I'm not suggesting you ignore reality. A lot of times with my own clients, I say keep your job, keep your security while you search for what you love to do, while you search for your flow. But there are many ways to earn income in this internet age. So how about getting a respectable job where you respect your true gifts and talents? How about getting security where you do what you are best in? Money does not give people security. I've seen it with my own clients. So get into the flow of life. Find something that matches your inner self. Do what you do best. Start playing the game to win. Stack the cards in your favor and bring on your A game. Until next time, this is Sam Gerstein encouraging you to live your dreams.